the VCT sigil or the Phase Guard splitter. Which is the better melee in Valorant? Phase Guard quickly became a community favorite after it was released last year due to its unique animations. Now we're getting a new knife with most of those animations, plus some added VCT flair. We will focus on the animations first, and the only new one on this year's knife is the right click. With Phase Guard, it's a lot more brutal and you twist the blade on the way out. Meanwhile, for the VCT sigil is a lot more stylized and flippy. That new animation is pretty cool, but I still think I prefer the original Phase Guard right click with how impactful it feels like you're really trying to do some damage. It is worth mentioning that if you use the new VCT knife at level 1, we'll actually use that Phase Guard right click instead, so keep that in mind if you're a big fan of this animation. Technically, you do hold these knives slightly differently as well, with your thumb in or out, but otherwise, as you can see there, all the other animations are the same, from the left click to the equip to the inspect. Speaking of, it's also worth pointing out that it doesn't seem like the inspect animation this year will loop, unlike previous VCT knives. So those were all the animations, pretty similar for the most part. But beyond that, these two have a very different look and style. Phase Guard is a lot more grounded, whereas the VCT knife feels a lot less realistic and also appears to be a bit larger. I actually did this last year too with the karambit, as back then I remember people complaining that the knife was too big and bulky. Personally, I don't think it's that bad, but again, compared directly to Phase Guard, this knife does feel a little big and awkward. As much as I love these animations in general, to me they do feel a little more natural and graceful on a smaller model. That's about where the advantages for the splitter end though, because as far as the variants go, I'm actually not too hot on Phase Guard here. I do love the blue variant and that fade gradient that appears on the blade, but beyond that I think the gold is too much on the knife. And then the other two variants look very similar and are quite plain. That does lean into the military style and obviously makes sense for the purpose of these skins, but I end up preferring the colors on VCT here, especially because they each represent a different region, and the knife even comes with one extra style compared to most skins in the game. Of course, since this is a VCT knife, the sigil will also come with the champion's aura, glowing if you have the most kills in the lobby. All this won't be something you can consistently have active. I think it's fun to have things like this to strive towards, and it's just another edge that this knife has over Phase Guard. On top of that, the VCT sigil and 2026 capsule will only be available for around a month or so for the duration of Master Santiago, after which it won't ever appear again in your rotating store. We move on though now onto how both of these knives sound. Take a listen and let me know which one you prefer. One. By the road, to me, Phase Guard is a little bit dull, and I prefer the extra whir that VCT gets, and the blade sounds sharper too. I feel the need to mention again, I don't think there's anything wrong with how Phase Guard sounds, and it's definitely on theme, it all makes sense. I just prefer this instead. Lastly, that brings us to the price. Assuming you didn't buy the Phase Guard splitter as part of the bundle, it's an insanely expensive knife at 5,350 Valorant points. This is practically the highest price point for a melee in Valorant, with the exceptions being the Radiant Entertainment System knife, and of course the two previous VCT knife capsules. It is impossible to know the exact price of a skin before it comes out, but based on these two and what we know of the contents this year, I would expect the VCT 2026 capsule to come in at around 5,750 Valorant points. That could end up being a little different when it's actually released in the store, so keep that in mind. But for this video, regardless of the exact price, the takeaway is the same. You'll be paying a little bit more for the VCT sigil in exchange for the champion's aura, exclusivity, and supporting the VCT teams. So it's up to you to decide whether that is enough justification for the price increase or not. As far as the release date goes, the VCT 2026 capsule will be available around 8 hours after I upload this video, so at 11 AM Pacific time on the 19th of January. Ultimately, I think the VCT sigil just edges out the Phase Guard splitter, because even though the model isn't as clean, I love how these variants glow, and I'm honestly always a fan of the VCT skins. They definitely are both amazing knives though, and if you want something a little more grounded and realistic, Phase Guard is still a really solid option and one of the better knives in the game. If you already have Phase Guard, then I do think this year's VCT knife is a pretty safe skip. It doesn't do too much to build upon the animations we already got with the splitter, but on the other hand, if you are a fan of the Phase Guard animations and haven't bought that knife yet, then this capsule is a pretty good pickup.